Hey everybody, welcome back to the Hobby Lodge. You know what time it is because the Hit Squad t-shirt is on, so therefore it must be time for this week's update on the Hit Squad hunt, the Hit Squad adventure, the full set collection, whatever we want to call it, but it is what I'm doing. So we've got 5 more to show you, which I believe takes me up to 67 in the Hit Squad collection. So yeah, let's jump into it and see what we've got. The first up on the list is the first in the 2 games that are in the Hit Squad collection, all about breaking bricks. And obviously I showed you Arkanoid Revenge of Dolt last time, a few videos back I think it was, which is the second game, and then this is the first game in the collection, which is Arkanoid the original. So there we go in all its lovely glory. It's number 7 in the arcade, and actually was a little bit hard to find. I'm glad I finally did get it. It wasn't particularly expensive, but was just difficult to see it pop up. So you know, in all of my searching for it, and I have a confession to make. I accidentally bought the wrong one. I bought the one for the Atari 800 at one point from a Facebook group because I got so excited about picking this up. When one popped up, I grabbed it as soon as I could. Maybe should have been looking out for the Commodore 64 title at the top there. So I do now have a copy of Arkanoid also for the Atari 800, which I don't own and have no intention to own. So I will be making sure that goes into another collector's hands at some point down the line. But yeah, well, we got it anyway, Arkanoid, and what a great game, right? It's just, you can't go wrong with these types of games. They're just arcade fun. You're breaking bricks with your little paddle, you're picking up power-ups, you're trying to complete the levels, and that's pretty much it. There isn't too much to say. It just works. It works great on the Commodore. It is tricky with a joystick, getting the movement right. I could see why you'd want a paddle or a mouse, or even using the keyboard for these kind of games, which I know there is options to do that. But I was playing it with the joystick, and it just is that little bit more tricky. That's the one time I'm not happy using a joystick for these kind of games. But yeah, really happy to add it to the collection, and it plays fantastic. Colors great, sounds great. Everything on it just works fantastically. Next up, we'll go with one that maybe doesn't work so great, but you know, I wish it was, because actually it's from a movie that I think is probably a little underrated. Well, maybe, I don't know, it depends on what you like, but I really like this film, and it is, yes, from the movie collection, as you can probably in here, but it is Nightbreed on the Commodore 64 Hit Squads. It is number 23 in the movie collection. Oh, you know, I already actually own this game. I own this as part of the Night Moves collection, so I have both. I have it on both tape and disc. But of course, you got to get it on the Hit Squad if you're doing the full set. And it just unfortunately is not a very good game. I like the IP it's based on. You know, there's, you know, actually I will give it due in that it has a lot of creatures in it when you're meeting various creatures from the Nightbreed, but the controls aren't great, the combat isn't great, and I really get stuck of what I'm trying to do. It has you need to be able to press the fire button and a direction at the same time to kick and punch or take any action, and that can become quite tricky when you're actually playing the game. But it has so much going for it. It's just the combat is awful. But I really like the variety of enemies when you start coming across the Snake Man and the Fat Man and all these other people in there, and yeah, it's good, but it just isn't very playable, and it isn't very enjoyable. But it could have been good. Oh, it could have been great. But yeah, I wonder if anyone out there is a lover of the Nightbreed game. And I'm gonna have to see how far. I maybe have to watch a let's play of this to see it through to the finish. But yeah, it has to be in the collection. It's number 23, and it could have been good. Next up, we'll go with let's go with The Last Ninja. It is Last Ninja 2. What I love about Last Ninja is it's in the sports section. So who would have thought being a ninja counts as a sport, apparently, according to the Hit Squads. Yeah, number 16 in the Hit Squads, Last Ninja 2, sorry. And again, another game that I personally struggle with. I know people love this game, and I know why, because it just is really good for, you know, again, for what the system was capable of. This is pushing those limits. It's an action adventure RPG almost. You know, you're trying to navigate screens, you're collecting items, you're unlocking puzzles, you're in combat, and you're trying to, you know, work your way through the game. But I just found it really difficult for me to get into because I didn't have this as a child. I think I'm missing that nostalgia piece, which is, I think, really important when you're going to play old video retro games. That was almost a complete sentence. Old retro video games. You need to have a bit of a, you've got to have a love there. You've got to have a feeling of what it's reconnecting you back with. And I never actually played this one when I was younger, but you know, I'll definitely give it a go because I know a lot of people out there love it. I mean, it certainly plays well. The controls are great. The graphics look fantastic. It just works really well. I found the combat a little bit near. You know, you don't really feel like a ninja. You're, you know, sort of throwing out a few punches and kicks, but it wasn't ninja-like. I mean, come on. You've got combat in IK Plus. Come on. You could have maybe got those two people together to work out and put the combat in there. But yeah, Last Ninja, number 16 in the sports collection, rather than the arcade or the movies, I guess. Well, actually, there is a movie called Last Ninja, isn't there? But anyway, there is that one there. Next up, we have got Phalanx. Is it? No, Parallax. Sorry, not Phalanx. Parallax on the Hit Squads. Number 9 in the arcade. Now, this one I am going to try and get an upgrade for at some point because someone, undastardly individual, put a sticker on the actual inlay where the number was. So I don't know if you'll see on the camera, but the number is a little bit faded, and I'm not happy with that. So at some point we'll probably do an upgrade on this one. But yeah, this is a cool game that I need to spend more time with to play. It is, when I first started playing it, I had memories of it, and just thinking about it being a top-down, multi-directional shooter, and that was pretty much the game. But then I remembered, and I saw from screenshots and stuff like that you're able to land your vehicle and get out and explore on foot, which you need to do to access codes to find your way through the game. And it's really cool. You've got to, you know, shoot ships down to get currency, use that currency to buy equipment, use that equipment to go and explore the surface, to go and unlock rooms and unlock sort of these consoles and rescue these, or bring in these scientists to sort of help you through the game. So there's an awful lot to this game, and I want to go back and spend more time with it because yeah, it plays brilliantly. Again, great sound, great concept, but it's a much deeper game than I probably originally gave it credit for, because I assume, you know, back when I played it as a kid, I just saw it as a run around and shoot everything game, but now as an adult looking at it, it's a way deeper game. So yeah, I'd love to hear people's experiences with this game. Again, another one that's great to add to the collection. Was a little bit tricky to find, I have to say, but yeah, got it, and I will probably be looking for an upgrade for it at some point. Okay, last up was actually one that was tricky to find. You know, I always like to try and hold a big hitter. I'm not sure if this is a big hitter, but it was definitely a pain in the backside to find it. It took quite a few weeks of kind of looking around and having different alerts set up and other bits and pieces, and I think I just got lucky that it popped up on a website that not many people use, I don't think, and it is Ping Pong. It's not exactly the greatest game in the world, but it is Konami's Ping Pong, and it works well. You know, I've shown some tennis games already. I know ping pong's not tennis, but I've shown sort of racket sports games that are in the Hit Squads, and they are varying degrees of success, but this one works well. It's got the speed element, which I think is really important. It's got good controls. I've sucked at it. I've yet to manage to get good returns. So the games that I play, I just lose, but I only played it for purposes of recording. I need to go back and actually spend some proper time with it, because I get the feeling if you can get the timing right of the bounce and the ball and the paddle, you could probably have some really good games, because everything else is there. It just represents the hand and the paddle. You're using up to kind of make sure you're hitting back the ball, and you can sort of angle it and stuff, and it is more about timing than anything else. And I think once you get that timing down, you can have a lot of fun with the game, because everything else seems to be in place. So yeah, really looking forward to going back to ping pong and doing it, because even though I'm not a ping pong player, I'm not a tennis game player. Well, actually, I'm not a tennis player. I play tennis games. I find them quite enjoyable. I really genuinely do, those types of sports games. So I'm hoping I can get good, as it were, at ping pong and yeah, play it. So there we go. That is the 5 for this week. We had Arkanoid, we had Last Ninja, Nightbreed, Parallax, and Ping Pong added to the collection. That takes us up to 67. But as I've said before, there's still way loads to go. You know, we've got 122 to show. I don't own 122, but hopefully by the time this video's catch up with my collection, we might be there. Who knows? There's definitely going to be one or two, as I say every single time when I do this video. There's definitely going to be one or two, certainly one that's going to be tough to get, but my plan is to get it, and hopefully we'll be there by the time I catch up on these videos. We've still got good number of weeks ahead of us. But yeah, let me know what you think so far. We are 67 into the collection of 122, and yeah, I will keep doing these updates as the weeks go by. We'll always do 5 unless I'm unable to do 5, because ultimately if we catch up with the collection as it is, I might not have 5 that week to show. Maybe that week we'll only have 1 or maybe 2, but certainly at the moment I've got 5, and I've got 5 for a good bit of runway yet. But anyway, thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time for another Hit Squads update on the collection. All right, bye-bye.